In this video, I'm going to be talking about forgotten women in film industry. So there are many women who worked in the film industry that are forgotten due to sexism in our society and the stereotypes that portrayed women as weak and unintelligent. Here are a few of their stories. Number 1. So Alice Guy Blaché was one of the first people to pick up a camera and make a narrative film. 1896's The Cabbage Fairy. Later she became Gaumont head of production and made hundreds of films. But once the company became profitable in its own right, Guy Blaché faced attempts of replacement and had to appeal to the board to keep her job. All of her staff turned against her, destroying a completed set on her film, The Life of Christ, for firewood. Guy Blaché moved to the US with her new cameraman/husband. They had considerable success until she and her husband got a divorce. And later she got really sick with the Spanish flu, which caused her to pass away, and she was erased from Gaumont's official history. Number 2. Mabel Normand. She has made more than 100 films as a star of Max Center's Keystone Studios writer and director. Later she formed her own production company and made Mickey, the biggest film of 1918. But men eventually brought her down. She was caught in a swirl of scandal that destroyed her friend and colleague's career, who was later suspected of 2 murders. Each scandal caused more of her films pulled from distribution until she was completely washed and most of her legacy diminished. Number 3. Lillian Gish. She was a huge star of the 1910s, set out to make her own film remodeling her husband. A proto-feminist statement, she hired as many female crew members as possible and wrote the script with her sister and lead actor, Dorothy Gish, who brought along Dorothy Parker for intertitles. They worked really hard on this film, but unfortunately didn't get great reviews, such as "she's not a particularly strong directress." Lillian Gish responded with, "I'm not strong enough? I doubt that any woman is." And by 1919, the idea that you had to be a strong man to direct was taking hold, and by the time the sound era came, almost all female directors had disappeared. Number 4. Lena Horne. She was a woman of color who was an accomplished singer when she was signed to a contract with MGM in 1942.
A trip to the moon on gossamer wings. Just one of those things.
But the studio struggled to find major roles for her due to film content being racist from its inception and barred any depiction of interracial romance. They were hoping she'd get the leading role in Pinky, a race drama about a black woman who passes as white, but because the character had a white boyfriend, that role went to a white woman instead. And the only roles that Horne could get were prostitutes or maids. Last but not least, number 5, Jean Seberg. Jean was chosen by Hitchcock, who has an abusive and bullying behavior towards female stars, while those women endured it as the price of great roles, which he also created. He oversaw aspects of Seberg's life, controlled her meals, and put her in a suite directly below his. He humiliated her on set, and when she was burned during filming, he shouted, "We got it on film!"
Être dans un milieu que je connaissais pas, que je ne comprenais pas, le choc d'être obligé de faire un travail que je n'étais pas capable de faire, et aussi, comme depuis je sais que vous le savez, certains problèmes personnels.
It's the sort of obsessive and dictatorial behavior that is often seen as proof by artistic genius, but elevating brutality and an acceptable and maybe even desirable cost of doing business is one that fed the atmosphere of exploitation and ill treatment in Hollywood that led to Me Too.